Now, again, the government, Marco Rubio is not finding these people. Homeland Security is not finding them. ICE is not finding them. ICE isn't even looking for them. They're here legally. They only become illegal when Marco Rubio secretly revokes their green card or their visa because they criticize Israel. So how do they know where to find these people? There are two incredibly shady Israel groups, pro-Israel groups, connected to Israel. Typically, their funding is completely anonymous. There's been reporting on where they get funding. Who they are is even anonymous. One of them is the Canary Mission, and they have been now for a decade. If a student expresses in a classroom criticism of Israel, they take the student's name and they put them on a website that has been highly funded so that it's the first Google result. If you enter that student's name when they go apply for work, it'll be, here's a list of all the anti-Semites on American campuses. While they're doxing students and professors and putting their name on the internet, these cowards will not say or identify themselves who's behind this mission, this Canary Mission. And they have been quite boastful of the fact that their list is who the Homeland Security and the State Department is using to determine who gets removed from the country. In other words, pro-Israel fanatics are dictating to the U.S. government who can and cannot stay in this country based on whether they love Israel or not. That is the literal truth of what is happening. And I just don't understand how anybody who claims to believe in free speech or the values of free discourse or academic freedom cannot be anything but enraged by this. Can be anything but enraged by this. It's exactly what you've been saying you so vehemently oppose, but this time done to protect a foreign country. Here's the Canary Mission on March 27th, boasting of their work to have her deported. Quote, this is Rumeysa Ozturk, a Turkish national being deported for, quote, activities in support of Hamas, according to DHS. Sources point to her Canary profile as the primary cause. So they're claiming credit. They're saying our website that's designed to destroy the reputation of anyone who doesn't revere and love Israel or who criticizes it is the cause of why the government decided to deport her. And then here is what they have to say about her. There you see Rumeysa Ozturk, Tufts University student, detained during a routine check-in due to, quote, activities in support of Hamas, according to DHS. She graduated from the Teachers College at Columbia University in 2020 and has been living in the U.S. on a student visa until her detention. And this is her page on Canary Mission. This is the kind of thing they do. They put the person's picture, their name, and they pay a lot of money to promote the website to make sure that it becomes the first Google search. So obviously it's a blacklist. It's like a McCarthyite list. And they label someone a terrorist and pro-Hamas simply because they oppose Israel. And here's their dossier on her. This is the entirety of it. Rumeysa Ozturk engaged in anti-Israel activism. Ooh. In March 2024, in the wake of the Hamas terrorist attacks on Israelis on October 7th. On October 7th, Hamas murdered approximately 1,200 Israelis, kidnapped hundreds, and wounded thousands. War crimes, including mass rape and torture. Many Palestinian civilians participated in and supported the attacks, and Gazans working in the targeted Israeli communities gave intelligence to Hamas on where to strike. For more information, see the Canary page on Hamas. Ozturk is a supporter of the boycott, divestment, sanctions movement. And then they have this page, Rumeysa Ozturk. By the way, you haven't heard anything specific about what she's done, other than write this op-ed. Here under the page, anti-Israel activism, this is what they say she did. On March 26, 2024, Ozturk co-authored an op-ed published in the Tufts Daily newspaper entitled Try Again, President Kumar, renewing calls for the Senate to adopt 4 TCU Senate resolutions. So on their dossier that they say is what caused her deportation, they're admitting the primary offense or primary transgression is publishing that op-ed in the Tufts student newspaper that they disliked because it was critical of Israel. And now the government is obeying these pro-Israel groups on who to deport. Not based on crimes they committed or property they destroyed or people they harassed or attacked, based on their ideas about one foreign country. Published in a very professional, very moderately stated op-ed. This group goes on, quote, the authors urge, quote, President Kumar and the Tufts administration to meaningfully engage with and actualize the resolutions passed by the Senate. The op-ed referred to the passing of anti-Israel resolutions by the Tufts Community Union. Senate, which demanded the university, quote, acknowledge the Palestinian genocide, apologize for University President Sunil Kumar's statements, disclose its investments, and divest from companies with direct or indirect ties to Israel. That's the only thing it lists. Obviously, if she had vandalized buildings or attacked Jewish students or praised Hamas, that would be in here. They're very comprehensive. The only thing they have on her is that she wrote that op-ed. But that's enough for the United States government, eager to serve Israel, defend Israel, shield Israel from criticism, to deport her in the middle of her PhD program. Here's another one of the groups that is taking credit for it as well. And by the way, the Canary Mission, as I said, they're an extremely secretive group. They have a lot of funding. They won't say who their funders are. They won't even say who they are. That's who's dictating to the government who can stay in our country or not, based on how much they love Israel or don't. The other group is Betar Worldwide. It is a radical pro-Israel group. It's considered radical even in Israel. And they too took credit. Quote, she was on our list. Many more jihadis are. We will be making a new submission Monday with approximately 1,800 more jihadis. Submit to us candidates with proof for ICE government to consider. That's where the government's getting these names from these very sketchy Israel-connected groups of people they want out of the country for criticizing Israel. Here's Tammy Bruce, the Department of State spokesperson, being asked about all of this, and here's what she said.
So just going back to the visa revocations, there's a group called Betar that has told CBS that they have provided thousands of names to the Trump administration of visa holders and naturalized foreigners who, quote, come to the West to rage against America and support U.S. designated terrorist organizations. Can you confirm whether that organization is providing lists to the Trump administration and whether those lists are being taken by the State Department and DHS to do any of this work?
You know, the Trump administration, I'm not involved in those decisions, and I certainly can't speak on them. Certainly, in general, not for the State Department. That goes through the framework of the work that we're doing. Whether it exists or not, I won't confirm. It's a matter of we've got broad authority certainly, but how they're coming to those decisions for the consular offices and visas, we will not discuss not only individual visas, but the process of what goes through in determining what happens with individuals and visas and whether they're issued or if they're revoked. So I won't be talking about that today. Yes, Nick.
So these groups are out there taking credit. These groups, by the way, only have one cause, one mission: devotion to Israel. The United States, Americans, not part of the agenda, just this foreign country of Israel. And they're boasting about the fact that they're the ones who are telling Homeland Security and the State Department who to deport. And when asked about it, the State Department won't deny that. They won't even confirm. They won't say how they're getting these names. And above this video, where Tammy Bruce refused to say whether Betar and the Canary Mission, as we know they are, because they say so, are giving these lists to the U.S. government. Betar basically gave a thumbs up to her, said, good job, a little pat on the head again from an Israeli group, something so many people in Washington crave and will do anything for. Here's the Jewish newspaper Forward on March 10th, doing a little profile. The Jewish groups targeted Columbia grad student Mahmoud Khalil, then ICE arrested him. Documenting Jew hatred on campus called to, quote, deport Mahmoud Khalil days before the immigration agents detained him. Quote, Ross Glick, a pro-Israel activist who previously shared a list of campus protesters with federal immigration authorities, said that he was in Washington, D.C. for meetings with members of Congress during the Barnard Library demonstration and discussed Khalil with aides to Senators Ted Cruz and John Fetterman, who promised to, quote, escalate the issue. He said that some members of Columbia's board had also reported Khalil to officials. Glick, the activist who discussed the Khalil case with Senate staffers, was until recently connected to a far-right Jewish group called Betar, which began compiling a list last fall of international students involved in the protest and shared the database with the Trump administration. Here is one of the things that Betar says, here from their Twitter account on February 20th, 2025. You see there a tweet from Laila Al-Aryan, who's been on our show before. She says, these are the names of Palestinian babies. A long list of Palestinian babies that Israel killed before they reached their first birthday. Unfortunately, it is likely an undercount given the number of people missing and under the rubble. Okay, just want to say this again. This is a list of Palestinian babies in Gaza that the Israelis have killed through bombing, through shelling, before they reach their first birthday, not even counting 2-year-olds, 3-year-old, 4-year-old infants or toddlers, ones that did not reach their first birthday, 6-month-old babies, 3-month-old toddlers. Now, you can blame Hamas, which I'm sure some of you do, whatever, but any decent person by definition would lament the loss of this huge number of babies who didn't reach their first birthday and had their lives extinguished in this war. But not Betar, who dictates to the U.S. government who can and cannot stay. They said on top of this list, it's not enough. Not enough. We demand blood in Gaza. They looked at this endless list, these degenerates, these morally burdened creeps. You have to be a complete moral degenerate to look at a list of infants killed in a war, a long, long list, and say it's not enough, we want more blood in Gaza. That's who's in charge of deciding who loves Israel enough or not to stay in the United States. Here is the Israeli newspaper Haaretz on February 21st of this year. Even the ADL hates this group. Title of the article, Embraces Islamophobia and Harasses Muslims. The ADL lists far-right Betar USA as a hate group. A review of the ADL database indicates that the militant organization with ties to Israel's ruling Likud is the only Jewish group on the list. Quote, a spokesman for the ADL said this database did not constitute an official list of hate groups and was merely a glossary. Quote, our reporting speaks for itself. The brand new entries draws parallels between the American branch of Betar and the Jewish Defense League, a militant anti-Arab group founded by the American rabbi Meir Kahane, which has been designated a right-wing terrorist group by the FBI. Quote, the U.S. chapter of Betar, which was revived in June of 2023, adopts the far-right Kahane slogan calling for every Jew, for Jewish armament. Quote, every Jew a 22, openly embraces Islamophobia and harasses Muslims online and in person, says the ADL. These are the very noble people that are determining our immigration policy. Not for illegal immigrants, for legal immigrants, whose crime is criticizing the foreign country that for whatever reason, has an immense amount of influence in our own, even though we pay for their wars and subsidize their society. And it probably should be the other way around. We have a lot of influence in their country, but that's not how it works. Here's the site, the Electronic Intifada, which is a group of journalists that we've had on our show before as well, and they're doing reporting here. Quote, group claiming credit for a Mahmoud Khalil arrested, Khalil arrest demanded the, quote, blood of Gaza's babies. On its website, Betar USA asked for donations from the public, quote, to combat the rising tide of anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism sweeping across college campuses and communities in the United States. In 2024, Betar USA obtained tax-exempt charitable status from the U.S. federal tax agency, the IRS. Betar USA calls for donation checks to be mailed to a post office box in White Plains, New York. As a New York-based charity, Betar USA is required to register with the state before it can solicit donations from the public, but despite being based in New York, the organization cannot be found in the state charity database. In a phone call with the Electronic Intifada on Wednesday, an employee of the New York State Charities Bureau confirmed that he could find no registration for Betar. The employee confirmed that if a New York-based charity is soliciting donations without being registered, it is a violation of the law. And then the New York Attorney General issued this statement on March 13th of this year. Regarding Betar, aka Betar Zionist Organization, dear Ali Abunima, who's a journalist with that site, I am writing in response to your correspondence to the Attorney General's Charity Bureau concerning Betar. We have contacted Betar, the Betar Zionist Organization, Inc., to notify them of the requirement to register with the Charities Bureau. Everything about them is just very sketchy. They will not say where their funding comes from. They will not say who they are, while they drag everybody else's name into the spotlight and now have control over the U.S. government's deportation policies. Here from the Jewish journal The Forward in October of 2018, the Canary Mission blacklist is secretly bankrolled by major Jewish federation. Oh, wow, you don't say. That's such a surprise. Quote, for 3 years, a website called the Canary Mission, this is in 2018 when they were still in their beginning phases, a website called Canary Mission has spread fear among undergraduate activists, posting more than 1,000 political dossiers on student supporters of Palestinian rights. The dossiers are meant to harm students' job prospects and have been used in interrogation by Israeli security officials. At the same time, the website has gone to great lengths to hide the digital and financial trail connecting it to its donors and staff. Registered through a secrecy service, the site is untraceable. Now, for the first time, the Forward has definitively identified a major donor to Canary Mission. It is a foundation controlled by the Jewish Community Federation of San Francisco, a major Jewish charity with an annual budget of over $100 million. The Federation's support of Canary Mission connects the American Jewish establishment itself to a website that is facing increasing criticism from young Jews. Canary Mission has been controversial since it appeared in mid-2015, drawing comparisons to a McCarthyite blacklist. While some of those listed on the site are prominent activists, others are students who attended a single event, or even student government representatives suspected of voting for resolutions that are critical of Israel. All that it takes to get on their blacklist that then goes to the government is just doing anything that suggests you don't love Israel. You attend a protest, a peaceful protest. This is 2018. You write an op-ed, you say something in your class, and then little spies in the class report it, and you go on a blacklist that can destroy your reputation and career. It's intended to do that. Never in their wildest dreams did they imagine that they would one day be dictating to the US government who can stay in the United States and who can't. But that's how top of a priority, how unlimited of a commitment the Trump administration has to purging the country of people who criticize Israel or question US financing of Israel. Thanks for watching this clip from System Update, our live show that airs every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Rumble. You can catch the full nightly shows live or view the backlog of episodes for free on our Rumble page. You can also find full episodes the morning after they air across all major podcasting platforms, including Spotify and Apple. All the information you need is linked below. We hope to see you there.